seems to be slowly opening up. And this year, all eyes are on Washington Heights, and owing in no small part to the upcoming release of Warner Brothers' amazing film In the Heights by, of course, local phenomenon Lin-Manuel Miranda. And it's exciting. It's an exciting time for us at NoMAA. We just recently moved into our offices at the Annex at the United Palace, which comes with 4 studios that we look forward to translating into much needed space for uptown artists and arts organizations. And this year at NoMAA, we have received so much support from so many sponsors: Warner Brothers, Spectrum, Telemundo, West Harlem Development Corporation, Con Edison, DCLA, and council members Levine and Rodriguez are longtime sponsors, and we thank them. We have new sponsors like HBO and United Way, and to them we are grateful. And we are further excited to be partnering with New York Presbyterian on a program to support artists, and stay tuned for more on that. And with Google, who we are absolutely thrilled to be partnering with for the first time. In fact, Google, through their Grow with Google program, has made it possible to provide support for local businesses and for NoMAA and the Hispanic Federation to award grants to a group of Northern Manhattan artists. And tonight's featured artist is a recipient of this award. And I will introduce him now, and it gives me great pleasure to do so. DISTER Rondon is a professional dancer, choreographer, artistic director, adjunct professor, visual artist, muralist, and founder of the internationally known I Love My Hood movement. Born and raised in Washington Heights, DISTER's passion for music and art was evident from a young age and was fueled by the city's many impulses, ranging from b-boy and hip-hop to salsa and mambo, and of course, to the aerosol art on the walls of his city. This led him to becoming one of the most well-known street dancers in New York City, and landed him a position as artistic director of Sybarite Productions, a New York City-based dance company producing dance, art, and entertainment events for over the last 10 years. DISTER never forgot about where his love of the arts came from: his neighborhood. It is there where he mentors young inner city kids through after-school programs focusing on visual art and dance. This experience laid the groundwork and served as the inspiration for his I Love My Hood movement, a movement dedicated to murals and community outreach in low-income areas, which he has taken to the Dominican Republic, Uruguay, and many international cities around the world. DISTER has been a featured dancer in television commercials for The Gap, Apple, Verizon, Comcast, K-Swiss, the film Across the Universe, music videos for several recording artists as well. He teaches and hosts workshops across the United States and internationally. Once described by the Daily News as preserving the Washington Heights he once knew one aerosol can at a time, we are thrilled that he is joining us tonight, albeit with some reluctance. In fact, we know that he would much prefer to be doing something else, probably his art, but we are so happy that we were able to convince him to be here tonight. And now I get to turn the mic over to him. DISTER.
Oh, hello, everyone. That was probably the most awkward 28 seconds of my life. But I'm glad everyone made it through that, and I hope it doesn't produce another COVID variant. But thank you, everybody, for being here and taking time out to just, check it out. Yes, no, maybe so.
Yeah, no, here we go. Michelle is going to queue up your video. And she's getting ready. So just to keep the awkwardness going, DISTER.
Right, of course, it's good.
Yeah, right. We're just gonna continue to contribute to your awkwardness. Yeah, it looks like we're a little rusty tonight. It's been a bit since we have our Thursday nights. So here we go.
I don't know what's about to play, but funny enough,
nobody asked me if they could put a Citibank on my block, so I shouldn't have to ask you if I could paint a mural on your block.
Okay, ponlo ahí abajo.
I think the biggest crime is seeing a big ass gray wall in the middle of my neighborhood. There's so much culture and it's so vibrant here, and yet you have every wall either gray, beige, white. I don't get it. It just doesn't make sense. I've just gone the whole guerrilla style, you know, middle of the day, 2 in the afternoon, my ladder, and just go and paint. I spot every wall. Every wall looks like something I should paint on. Either me or someone else, but somebody should paint on it. Every mural is an I love my hood theme. I'm not trying to force anyone to love your hood. It's kind of like how you see your parents. You know, there are things you like about them, things you don't. It made you who you are now, whether you like it or not. So it's not about loving it, it's more about accepting it. I do feel after X amount of years painting or working on this project, which still has a long way to go, that I have made a significant mark or a dent in the way people see the neighborhood, how they identify with their hood, and I like that. I'm not interested in people knowing who I am as far as like what I look like, because it's about how they relate and how they represent where they're from. I've been given the opportunity to travel for work wherever it is. I've taken the I Love My Hood project and planted the seed wherever I go now. That's how graffiti works now. You know, it's about leaving your mark. It's a slightly different way, but it's, you know, it's still the same. It's still, you know, that stamp, I was here.
It's showtime! Oh, 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 oh. Right. Man, day, they ask how I'm doing. Deuces up, playboy, I'm coolin'. I'm just coolin'. Hey, day, they ask how I'm feeling. You see the outfit, playboy, I'm chillin'. I'm just chillin'. I got my Balmain on, plus my Louis on. Got my Christians on, boy, I get it on. You see me ride Lotus and my top is gone. The interior, butter like popcorn. She got on G-bone, she fresh like me. Every time she goes shopping, Alexander McQueen. I mean, we just coolin' on a Sunday. Can't wait to ball out on Monday. Day, they ask how I'm doing. Deuces up, playboy, I'm coolin'. I'm just coolin'. I'm chillin'. Oh, dance now. Do you dance now? Do you work now? Let's work now.
Oh man, another video.
That's amazing.
Everybody wake up. Everybody wake up.
That's I feel like I feel like I have so many questions to ask you. You know, I sort of, and I know Elizabeth has a question she wants to ask you as well. And I really want to encourage everyone who's here tonight to ask questions. One of the things I wanted just to ask you sort of right off the bat, I know that you work exclusively in aerosol.
98.7%.
98.7%. Tell me a little bit about that, and what's your other percent, and what makes up the other percentage, and why? And
the other percentage is primer.
Okay.
I honestly, and I just had this conversation again earlier today. A lot of people that have started where I start from you know, the graffiti culture, tend to expand and move into brushwork also and other mediums, which is fine. The reason I stay focused with aerosol work is because it's cultural for me, and also it's an educational opportunity for those that are not aware of what hip hop has been able to create with just aerosol, a tool that was not meant or created for art, but hasn't even been changed since it was created in 1830, God knows what. Mm-hmm. It's just a constant reminder of how, and a cheesy exclaimer here, a constant reminder of how beautiful hip hop is, because again, it didn't create anything, but it reinvented everything. So something as simple and as industrial as a spray can, which is what it was used and created for. And we've been able to do what we do now. And I mean, I consider myself to have a very long way to go, because there are a lot of amazing, amazing artists that and continue to do things that are, you know, mind blowing. So I'm still working at bettering myself.
That's so interesting. When you work with because I know you work a lot in the schools and you work a lot, you know, with young kids. What is your experience with the aerosol can? How do you work with them? What is that sort of relationship? Do you talk to them a little bit about what aerosol means? Do you talk to them, to you, or the accessibility of it, or
right?
People?
Right, I do. You know, it is limited because it is a spray paint, and when I do work in schools, the work is very little to do with art, believe it or not, and has a lot more to do with explaining the social dynamics behind hip hop. The artwork is the easy part. That's the last thing. It's really for them. For me, that's actually at Rikers Island. It's really more to explain to them how the pressures of Americana have inadvertently created this, of white America, I should say. White America has had a very heavy, violent, disturbing influence in communities of color till today, you know, so, and these, kind of like what you mentioned before, Nidia, that, you know, this is where culture happens. This is, you know, where culture begins, where you have very dramatic moments in our society, you know, for like the Great Depression, so on and so forth. So when kids were living in squalor in Upper Manhattan, the Bronx, the Lower East Side, within the 5-mile radius of the richest zip code in Manhattan, in the world, you know, things get funky, you know. And to be clear, and I know I might be, you know, digressing a bit, I believe hip hop would have started anywhere else in America, anywhere else in Black America, but the only reason it did start in New York, in my opinion, is we just happen to be the media capital of the world. And we have all of this happening. It's kind of like I consider it like a soda can. You shake it, somebody with influence happens to open that, and it just, explodes after that. So I don't know if I answered your question.
Yeah, no, that's so interesting. And I think Elizabeth has an interesting question about commissions and sort of that process. Elizabeth, did you want to ask your question?
Oh, I asked her, did I write? I guess a lot of times looking at what people call graffiti, and you spoke to the idea, spoke to the idea that you don't want to see the white space. So when you go to a space, do you have to ask permission? I mean, of course, with the schools, etc., with certain walls, you have
Outside?
to have an agreement about that.
Right.
My cousin was a muralist in Chicago, so right. I know a little bit about it.
In theory, yes, you do need a permit. But ironically enough, I mentioned this to Martin last time we spoke. Out of all the illegal and crazy things I did when I was younger, I've only been arrested recently for painting legal work. You can have this is not me being hyperbolic by any means. I've had permission agreements, like, yeah, here's my permission agreement. They're like, all right, thank you. It doesn't mean anything, get in the back of the car. And it's really a power trip, it's NYPD being NYPD. But the way I started was I started going into like the local bodegas and asking them, hey, I'd like to paint this wall, which is it looks crappy. I'd love to paint it. And they're really dismissive. They'll either don't talk to me or they'll just shoo me away or, and the fact that I look like every other kid in the neighborhood didn't really help the situation. They didn't want to interact. So what I did was, instead of, I couldn't get the permission, so I just showed up there when the business was closed at, 10 in the morning, and I made it so obvious that most people wouldn't understand. They were like, oh, I guess he's supposed to be there, and I had like a vest, I had like tape, you make it so obvious, ain't nobody gonna notice, so.
That's great.
Yeah.
There better be no snitches in this chat. I'm telling you, I'm coming after you.
What about commissions? Like, what about when you go to a school? What's that process? Do you submit like sketches? Do you have conversations? Do they sort of say that's great, and then do they come in later and go, we don't like that, or how does that sort of unfold?
It was a very slow process. I'm sure some of you guys here know a guy named Juan Rosa. Juan Rosa has been very helpful in getting me into the schools because, as you know, the bureaucracy, the red tape is a disaster. But once I Love My Hood has become a vendor for the DOE. So it's just, working out some paperwork. But it's just a matter of getting in tune with a lot of the educators and, talking to the principals, showing them a sketch. But what I really like to focus on is, again, the art is secondary. It's really about having a conversation with them and having them see that someone that looks like them and that lives in their neighborhood, that speaks their language, that dresses like them, so on and so forth, do something other than what they're, kind of like tunnel vision to think. And it kind of bugged them out because one of the first times I spoke at a school, IS 143, I remember speaking to them and I accidentally said something in Spanish and they were like, wait, you speak Spanish? And I'm like, yeah, I speak Spanish. I'm from like a few blocks from here. And they're like, wait, you're Dominican? And they're like, oh, wait. And it was a fun moment at the time. It was pretty funny. But when I left, it kind of hit me. And it was really sad because in their brain, they couldn't understand someone that looked like them, they could be their uncle or their brother doing something outside. It really kind of messed me up. And it was fun at the moment, but then when you think about it, it was pretty sad.
Yeah. No, I think.
Hey, just a disclaimer. I'm really good at not answering the question, but talking a lot. So just That's
okay. That you know, like I said at the beginning, you have such an extensive biography, and you've done so many really interesting things. And I know dance was your background. Tell me a little bit about that transition from the dance world to the visual arts world, and that sort of trajectory, right?
I mean, nothing really happened. Like, I never really planned anything. I was always dancing. I grew up as a club kid, dancing in the clubs in New York. My mom was the one that took me to my first. It was really weird and highly inappropriate, but you know, I was with my mom. It was crazy. So I was going clubbing like at 15 to like the Copa, Latin Quarters, the Blue Angels. So it was really, really a strange, but it was fun because I was never a drinker. I was never into drugs. I just really wanted to go dance. But then I ended up going away for a little bit. And then I went to college. And that's when I discovered organized dancing. And I started dancing and I learned how to count when I was 20 years old. It was crazy. But, and then I fell into the commercial side of dance work. There wasn't really much time to draw or paint. I tried to, but you know, I was always either on tour or away overseas as a working dancer, choreographer. But once I had my girls, it was like 2011. I'm pretty sure that's when I had my first child. I screwed that up too. That's when I kind of stopped. Actually, no, I traveled after that a little bit, but that's when I kind of started transitioning into professional artwork or visual arts.
That's so interesting. I see this on the screen. What is this that we're looking at?
This is bad because I'm very, very, like it's not on beat, and that's like painful for me to watch because it's kind of like drawing outside of the lines, and it really, really irks me. Because it doesn't match the music. It's really bad. Anyway, that was in the south of France. That was an exhibition at the south of France.
And so you've done a lot of traveling. You've done a lot of traveling through your dance. You've done a lot of traveling through I Love My Hood.
Yeah. I've traveled a lot to places, to places that I then realized were perpetuating the whitewashing of the culture.
In what way?
As many places I've been to, I've never been to a predominantly Black country. And it hit me years later. I mean, I've been to Sweden, Norway, Italy, Kyrgyzstan, Japan. I mean, so many amazing places. There are amazing places. That's in Uruguay. But I've always wanted, it'd be amazing to be in Haiti. It'd be amazing to be in Morocco. It'd be amazing to go in a country in Africa. And that's when I realized, too late, that, you know, these are companies that have the resources and they can pick and choose artists with the money they have to come and display and show. At the end of the day, it is just stealing. And then just carry on the tradition of what Europeans or European Americans do often. So if I had a magic wand, I wouldn't change that because there were experiences and they treated me well, but would they have treated me the same if I was just a tourist? Because I went there as a rock star. I was signing autographs and you know, I was there under a different context. If I was there as a tourist, would I have been treated the same? I don't think so, but one will never know.
Yeah. Tell me about this this experience. You were invited by the ambassador to Uruguay, the U.S. ambassador.
Right. That was started with NoMAA, referred to Julissa Reynoso. And she was the ambassador to Uruguay at the time. And she commissioned a piece I had to be hung up at the embassy over there, which was really amazing. an amazing, amazing experience. She's probably one of the smartest human beings I've ever met. Very intimidating because she's just a monster of a human being. It's crazy. And I have the utmost respect for her. She's actually now working for Joe Biden's administration, I believe, right? She's like a big cheese. She always was a big cheese. So she was super cool.
Wow. So what is your plan for I Love My Hood? I mean, you talk about wanting to go to other places that you haven't been before, right?
Right.
And so what does that look like for you? Is there something in the works for you, or is there
A plan. Wow.
Yeah, I know.
There's no plan.
There's no, but you did say that, you didn't plan.
No, but I'm gonna act like there is. All right. Ready? So
Gentlemen, welcome to Central Meeting.
oh yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah, let's take a look at this.
My name is DISTER from Washington Heights, New York City. My partner and I, Vic, we started a project called I Love My Hood. We decided probably about a year ago to head over to the Dominican Republic. Our parents are from there, my mother, father, his mother and father. So it's personal for us. And at the same time, it's needed. It's very necessary to go to places like this. We really didn't even have a plan for DR. We just, decided to go there and just start painting murals. There was no funding, there was no Kickstarter, there was no, fundraising. We just, right out of our own pockets, and we just decided to, make this trip happen. I just contacted like one or two guys over there. This guy named Freco. Yeah, he basically opened the doors to everything else.
Me está llamando Frank y el teléfono está marcando. Yo, good Frank, dime qué es lo que está pasando.
So at this point, we basically just took it upon ourselves and just started making moves. So we met Nkusi, and we straight up told him, we want to do a battle. And he introduced us to all the B-boys. 2 days later, we had this huge turnout. I mean, this is without flyers, without Facebook, without Instagram, all ages. These kids was getting down, just still funky. The DJ was DJing in the back of like the inside part of the bodega, and he couldn't even see the dancers, just the way that it was set up. But they got down, and to see that passion, it was important for us to have them see us supporting them. 2 days later, we hit up a few schools to give out, books and sketch pads. A lot of kids can't afford, just basic supplies. We got pencils, erasers, and books for 2,000 plus kids. A lot of the kids knew about us and knew some of the murals that we painted. That was really cool to see. There's more to hip hop than what we see on television.
Mi barrio, donde yo nací, mi gente, con quien comparto, con quien vivo, con quien sufro. Porque en el barrio hay necesidades, hay muerte, hay de todo. Hay que luchar siempre por nuestros barrios. Amar mi barrio es un valor excelente. Bendiciones para todos.
We really believe that staying in your community is important, rather than the notion that in order for you to succeed or make it, you need to get out of the hood. There's nothing wrong with staying where you're from, where you grew up. It's just a matter of staying and making it better. I mean, the idea for this project is to take it everywhere. All communities, all hoods, is you representing where you're from and doing it through the arts.
So where to next?
I don't know.
If you had to choose a place to go now, I mean,
Right now?
yeah.
Haiti. I go to
Haiti?
Haiti. I go to Togo in Africa. This is where my DNA is from. I mean, pick a place, yo. I go to the blackest black place on the planet. So that would be my choice. Simply because, and I've been trying to do that. You know, I've been trying to work with the favelas in Brazil, and you know, it almost gets there, and then they deny the budget, or they give it to some other people, or just, you know, it just didn't work out. Or planning, it's just hard because it's a one-man machine, you know. So and every now and then I get people that want to be involved until they realize how much work you got to do. And you don't hear from them anymore. But yeah, that happens often. Something.
That's interesting. I think Lilia has a question. Lilia, do you want to ask your question?
I just want to say that I'm like so blown away by the whole thing. I have a thousand, I don't know, 1,000 questions, but I want to say I get it why you say the art is secondary, but I can't help but react to the art, to the, you know, meaning of it, and the quality of it, and the talent that's present, and the technique. Just so you look at your phone or at your iPad, and you spray paint big with like what looks like amazing precision. I don't know.
It looks like it's amazing precision. It looks like it, but it is not.
Well,
thank you so much.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that.
But thank you so much. I really appreciate it. For real, thank you.
Yeah, so that's the question. I mean, what the process there, sort of talking about this question of precision, right? And sort of the perspective. How do you explain that process, or what is that process like for you?
The technical aspect of it?
Yeah, from the small to the monumental. I mean, because you know these things end up being monumental. So how does that evolve for you?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't really give it much thought. It's kind of like, all right, this is just what you're supposed to do. It's kind of like, I mean, I don't know how many of you guys have kids, but I got kids, and no matter how much your head hurts in the morning, you gotta take them to school. You gotta feed them. So I gotta figure this shit out. I don't know how, but I gotta do it.
Are they interested in your work? Do they paint? What do they?
I mean, I'm a very strong believer in the nurture aspect. So you put anybody in that environment, they're gonna learn it. It's a language, you know. It's difficult because you have to balance, you know, feeding them every day, which means you have to get the money to feed them, which means, and then, you know, to have space to just create and just have fun with art, that's a luxury.
That's right.
I honestly don't have much of that. This is more of a job for me out of necessity and responsibility to people in my neighborhood, to, you know, like, you know, to people, you know, that look like me, because we, you know, white America doesn't have to fight for their culture. And I have to do it every single day, and it's very exhausting. So in that time, to have fun with my kids with art, I'm not gonna lie, it is pretty difficult.
It's so interesting. I mean, you talk about nurturing. I mean, it is true. It's sort of, you're ministering to your community. You know, you're ministering to young people. You're ministering to your neighborhood. Who nurtured you in your art?
Inadvertently, I had to my two uncles. I mean, my mom was always, you know, she was like, yeah, it's cool, paint, but it wasn't necessarily like there, you know. If it was her choice, I'd be in the Marines. Oof, I dodged the bullet there, no pun intended. But it was my two uncles were like the coolest of the cool 1980s rope chain, drug dealing, fast cars having guys, right? And they were like the ultimate. But I was 9, I was 10, and I couldn't hang out with them. So and they had black books. You know what? Can I grab one to show you?
Sure, of course.
So my uncles had they're called black books. They're sketch pads really, but the graffiti term or that culture term is like your black book because they had the hard black cover, right? And it would get passed around from block to block. You know, this was kind of like a physical Instagram, I guess, in that time, right? So, you know, they would do, this was in, I can't even remember what year this is. This is maybe 89. But, you know, this is kind of like the stuff that they do.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Like Star Wars stuff.
Yeah, and it was just like laying around, and I would just like copy it and just like mimic it and do the most obnoxious things and just mess up their books. Like, look, I would mess it up and just draw horrible, like I'm surprised they didn't like physically beat me. So they were like really, they were artists, but it was crazy because they were artists for the sake of art, like, and there was no business in their head, which is amazing to me because I'm thinking, you know, this is a job for me. You know, this is how I make my money. This is how I move forward in life. For them, it was the thing to do. It was so genuine and so real that it was just like, no, this is what they do because that's what they do. So one of the reasons why I keep this is, in my opinion, like the most valuable thing here because it's real, it's theirs. And to the original point, they were like super influential. And then we're getting older and they kind of not drawing anymore, them and their friends. You know, I see people like Tat's Crew from the Bronx, and, you know, I'd be on the bus and see their stuff and my eyes were like amazed by it. So I was I wasn't like pushed away from art. You know, my uncles weren't like purposely trying to get me into art. They were just trying to get me out of the room. But it was weird. I think that's a combination of nature versus nurture, where I generally had just a general interest in it. So yeah, a lot of it had to do with them, and they were dancers also. So it was pretty, you know, pretty cool.
It's so interesting, that sort of negotiation, right, between the sort of the business of art, you know, the profession of art, or art as just sort of, you know, a pursuit that you just, you know, you're drawn to, you're lured by, and that's sort of what you do, and that's a difficult negotiation, especially, you know, when you think about art that is sort of on buildings or public art, and then art that are, you know, art that it's in institutions, or you know, that you may have had a sponsor or a patron, or, you know, those kinds of things. Those are difficult questions, I think, for working artists, and especially, you know, an artist who, like you know, who has these very, very clear ideals, right, about what it means, you know, to do your work and the purpose behind your work. I mean, I think those negotiations, you know, happen all the time. How do you reconcile those kinds of questions in your own world?
I mean, honestly, I don't even like the word artist. I don't even consider it's super pretentious. But I see myself almost like a rocket scientist, or like you know, like, because my job is to do something where the person outside of my culture is like, oh, you did that with a spray can? And then that conversation leads into something else. So, you know, and I'm constantly trying to get better. It's, you know, those are the things that are hard for me. I don't like the whole art and what is art. I don't even give that any give that any energy, because
it doesn't look like time to give it any energy.
Yeah, because there's no end to it. It's crazy.
You are.
It's such a crazy, you know, people ask me like street art or graffiti or whatever. Like, I do have my strong feelings about that, but it's just I just don't have the time for it. I'd rather focus on this art, which is Black Latino art. I hate the word urban. It drives me crazy. And I refuse to address what I do as anything urban. It's just crazy. This is Black art, full stop.
Yeah, no, I think that's interesting. Yeah, and again, I think you are so prolific that it's sort of what you said. It's sort of a luxury to kind of entertain these sort of larger questions, right? About what's art and these kinds of things. I think we go back, Michelle, to that one that from 2020. That was last summer, correct?
Right.
That's on Amsterdam Avenue. Yeah, and that was just something that you did, or was that something that you were asked to do, or?
Nah, listen, out of all the commissions that I get, almost none of them are uptown. The Dominican owners and communities are not the first to hit me up for commission work. It's a layered issue, and that's another Zoom meeting. But this is just me flirting with the owner of this bar restaurant, because she always had a crush on me, so I was able to do that one. So.
Well, it's wonderful. Before we go into our rapid fire questions, which I know you're just so excited about, I wanted to talk for a second before we go. I mean, we're talking about commissions, and of course, tomorrow at the Audubon Terrace at the Hispanic Society, the Latinx Diaspora exhibition opens, and featuring one of your murals. Can you tell us a little bit about it? And about
I can tell you that I hate how it came out, but other than that, I really took from a lot of Joanna's, my goodness, I'm sorry, I forgot her last name. Fernandez, regarding the Young Lords. So a lot of this visual was directly pulled from what she mentioned and described the arms or the extensions of I'm not giving doing her writing justice, but she described the tentacles of the United States, so I try to convey that as much as I could. And never forget the pigs. They're a big part of our community in a not so great way. So.
Well, so that is, I encourage everybody to go. That's on the Palace, not the Palace. We started at the Palace, right? It was for 2 weeks at the United Palace, but it will be on view for 3 months at the Audubon Terrace, which is that space in between Boricua College and the Hispanic Society. And yours is one of 4 murals that sort of traces the trajectory of immigration to Northern Manhattan. And so it's a chronological look, and I think it's a really fascinating project. And I should say that was something that you did. I mean, the turnaround time for that was, something like 2 weeks, right? You had very little time to create during COVID, right? In the throes of COVID, in a warehouse, right? Where you sort of all worked in a sort of socially distant way. So it's certainly a fascinating project. So I encourage everybody. This is sort of one of our launch events of our stroll, and so we're excited that it's going to be on view for 3 months. And I see your "I love my hood" there at the bottom.
Yeah.
All right, before we go, I wanted to ask you a few just kind of quick, fun questions, just to, and you don't have to, you can just kind of off the cuff give an answer what you think, just easy. All right, here we go. Who or what is your favorite artist, artwork, art movement, whatever you want to answer, or do you have an answer?
That's it's kind of like when my kids ask me what's my favorite color. It's it always changes. I never understood how people have just one.
I agree.
So right now, I'm a big fan of this guy named Daniel Bonilla.
Yeah, who's
an artist. He did these vines and these flowers. Really dope, really cool. And he owes me $12. So if he's watching, pay my ish, bro.
Well, he's here, so you can. I guess he's got the message there.
Yeah.
I agree with you. That question it's like asking what your favorite ice cream of the week is.
Yes. Whoa, be careful. Don't be careful with ice cream.
You have a favorite ice cream?
Haagen-Dazs butter pecan.
Okay. Okay.
If anybody wants to donate,
all right, listen, here's an interesting question, and I bet this would change sort of on a daily basis too. What is the title of your biography?
Oh, Leave Him Alone.
Leave Him Alone. Okay. Or I Don't Have a Plan. That seems like
I don't have a plan.
Don't have a plan. Yeah. All right, here's another one. I love this question. All right, you're having a dinner party. You have 3 guests that you can invite. They could be dead, they could be alive, real, fictional. Who are they, and why are you inviting them over for dinner?
Right. As much as they are highlighted within our society, but I believe their fame gets perpetuated, but not for the real reasons that they are so amazing. Muhammad Ali, for someone to entirely say, I will give up my entire career at my prime, and say not only not go, but adamantly protest publicly why. And at that, we didn't have the luxury to just say no and just, it's so courageous to me. Amazing. Muhammad Ali, as much as a Republican and a piece of crap who people have said that he was, but he's an amazing artist, James Brown. And that's just because personally I have a very strong connection to his music. One more, it goes a few different places, but I don't know why, but you know what? I'm gonna go with my original. I'm gonna say Nina Simone.
Nice. Okay.
Nina Simone or any of the women in the Black Power movement, or the Black Panther movement.
Wow.
And there are also some women that I don't remember their names, and that's because I have just a bad memory. Some of the early women that started it with the Young Lords at the time, but their names escape me, so my apologies. But yeah, those would be my guests.
Sounds like a good, I'd like to be a fly on the wall at that dinner party.
Oh, come through, you're invited. Don't worry about it. You don't need to be a fly.
All right, so I'm the 4th guest. All right, so on your playlist, besides James Brown, who else is on there?
My playlist. Oh, yeah. Man. Right now, I'm playing a lot of, shoot, what was their name? They're Cuban. It's a Cuban band. It's a dude with a flat top. Anybody know? Sema Funk. If you guys know Sema Funk, woo, yo, they get down, yo, it's nasty. Sema Funk, early Kanye West. I love early Kanye West. And I mean, yo, Ruben Blades' playlist. I was just saying this. Ruben Blades wrote a lot of these iconic songs that he doesn't sing. He's the one that wrote them. A lot of people don't know that. Ruben Blades is a monster to me.
Yeah.
Love it.
All right. Okay, here's your last one, and then we'll let you off the hook. What do you consider your greatest achievement?
My next one.
That's a good answer. You did say you don't answer the question directly, so I do like that. That was very, that was good. That was clever. Yeah, no, I like that. I mean, that seems to be the leitmotif in your work, right? Constantly looking for the opportunities to continue to work, and I understand that. This has been fascinating. I'm so happy that we convinced you to do this tonight. I know that this was something that for you was not in your comfort zone. So we really do appreciate you taking time out of your day and spending time with us and sharing your process, your ideals, your fascinating projects. And there's so many interesting comments in the chat, and I encourage you to look at those. It really is to me, such a fantastic way to kick off our Thursdays with NoMAA, having you here. And I can't wait to see the murals tomorrow at the Audubon Terrace and everywhere else we go in our neighborhood. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you all for being here tonight. We're so happy that you were able to join us. Before we go, I want to turn the mic over to Martin again, who will close out our evening with a few previews and some important announcements.
Thank you, Neria. Everyone, please check out the 19th Uptown Art Stroll, which begins tomorrow with the Latinx Diaspora stories from Uptown Manhattan on the Hispanic Society of American Museum Promenade from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And please see our website, nomanyc.org, for more information on this year's Uptown Art Stroll, which continues through June 30th. Next Thursday, June 3rd, we will return to our regular time, 7:30 p.m. for Thursdays with NoMAA and artist Lilia Levin. Thank you for joining us tonight, Lilia. Lilia's program with us.
It's such a tough act to follow. I don't know. I might just chicken out.
No. No.
We will look forward to Lilia next Thursday at 7:30, sponsored by the Sugar Hill Museum of Art and Storytelling. Also on June 3rd, In the Heights at Boricua College, The Magic of a Neighborhood opens with posters from the In the Heights productions and from the Northern Manhattan Arts Alliance archives. On Friday, June 4th at 10 a.m., Grow with Google and NoMAA presents a free workshop for artists and more to help you create a compelling brand, define your audience, and create a website to maximize your goals. Registration and more information is on our website, nomanyc.org. And we invite everyone to pick up the Manhattan Times next week for a listing of Uptown Art Stroll events and more. And our thanks to you all for joining us on Thursdays with NoMAA and DISTER this evening.
Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Thank you, DISTER. Truly, this was, I think, Les says it best here. You are a hood legend. Your work is etched in the heart and soul of Washington Heights, and I don't think I could have said that any better. So
thanks, yo. Appreciate it. Larry, you owe me $6.
Thank you. Good night, everybody. Have a wonderful evening. Thanks.
Thank you all. Peace. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.